stakes in this fight in Iraq are important not only for today's generation, but for future generations. See, the enemy has made it abundantly clear that they believe we'll leave because we're soft. They believe if they can put enough unspeakable violence on the TV screens, that America will lose its nerve. They don't understand we don't run from thugs and assassins. They believe it's a matter of time for us to leave, and they want us to so they can have safe haven from which to launch further attacks. This is what they have said. They have said that they want us to leave so they can have room to topple moderate governments to begin to expand their ideological vision. Can you imagine a world in the Middle East in which they controlled oil resources? And then they would say to the West, abandon your alliance with Israel, abandon your alliance with moderate governments, withdraw, otherwise we'll bring you to your knees economically. And you couple that with a country with a nuclear weapon that doesn't like us, and people will look at this period of time and say, what happened to them in 2006? How come they couldn't see the impending danger? What clouded their vision? I want to assure you, I see the danger. That is why we will stay in Iraq, fight in Iraq, and win in Iraq. One of my favorite stories that I like to share with our fellow citizens is a story about the time when Laura and I went to Elvis's place with sitting Prime Minister Koizumi of Japan. People said, what the heck did you go there for? I said, well, I hadn't taken Laura on a vacation for a while. Koizumi himself wanted to go because he was an Elvis fan. But it also tells an interesting story about the power of liberty, about the capacity of liberty to change for the better. See, Japanese attacked us, and thousands of young Americans, like your relatives and our dad, said, I volunteer. I volunteer to fight for the country. It's happening today, by the way. Thousands are doing the same thing. And he went, and thousands died in a bloody war, and yet his son is on Air Force One flying down to Memphis, Tennessee, talking about the peace. Talking about peace on the Korean Peninsula. Talking about the fact that Japan had 1,000 troops in Iraq. The Prime Minister and I understand we're in an ideological struggle between extremists and people who want a better life than what they offer. And the best way to defeat the ideology of hate is with an ideology of hope. We're talking about the admonition to whom much is given, much is required. And that's why we'll continue to lead the fight against the pandemic of HIV/AIDS. We were talking about our global responsibilities to foster peace. Isn't that interesting? Our dad fought the Japanese, and one of his sons is talking about keeping the peace. Something happened. Japan adopted a Japanese-style democracy. The lesson is that liberty has got the capacity to transform an enemy into an ally. Liberty has got the capacity to transform a region of the world that is resentful and full of hate to a region of the world full of hope. Someday, an elected leader from the United States will be sitting down with elected leaders from the Middle East talking about the peace, and a generation of Americans will be better off for it. And those are the stakes in this election. I urge our fellow citizens to go to the polls. I urge you to do your duty in this great democracy, and that is to exercise your right as an individual to determine the course of this nation. And as you're going into those polls, remember, if you want your taxes low, vote Republican. And as you go to the polls, remember we're at war. And if you want this country to do everything in its power to protect you, and at the same time lay the foundation of peace for generations to come, vote Republican. Laura and I are so pleased you're here. interest. May God bless you, and may God